Have you ever felt a connection with someone so strong that it felt like the universe itself was conspiring for you to meet? Like everything aligned perfectly, and in that moment, it seemed as if time stood still? But what if I told you that this divine connection, as magical as it may seem, is not a coincidence, but the result of something much deeper? How often do we search for that perfect person, convinced that someone else will complete us? We often spend our lives seeking external validation and love, thinking that it's only through another soul that we can feel whole. But is this the true essence of love? Is love really something we chase, or is it something we cultivate from within? Today, we're going to explore a deeper, more profound way of experiencing relationships. We're going to talk about how love and connection are not about chasing, but about aligning your energy, cultivating your own growth, and letting the universe naturally bring the right people into your life. Let's begin with Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers when it comes to understanding the psyche. Jung believed that relationships are reflections of our inner world. He talked about the idea of inner completion, suggesting that we cannot truly experience harmonious relationships with others unless we first become whole within ourselves. According to Jung, the search for the other half is really a search for the wholeness that we've been missing. We often project our unconscious desires and needs onto others, hoping they'll fill the gap we feel inside. But Jung believed that true growth and connection come when we've first healed ourselves and achieved inner balance. For example, imagine someone who grew up always trying to prove their worth. Maybe they had parents who only praised achievement. Without realizing it, they enter relationships seeking constant validation. Jung would say they're projecting their inner insecurity onto their partner. But once this person begins to heal and recognize their own worth, they no longer look for a partner to complete them, they look for someone to grow with. Similarly, Sadhguru, a modern spiritual teacher, speaks about relationships in terms of spiritual growth. He emphasizes that love is not about possession or dependence. Instead, love is an experience, a process of inner exploration. According to Sadhguru, when we approach relationships with a sense of completeness within ourselves, we can experience them without the need for expectations or dependency. Love becomes an energy that flows naturally without any forcing or clinging. This shift happens when we no longer seek love to complete ourselves, but rather experience it as an extension of our own spiritual growth. Sadhguru often gives the example of a flower. It doesn't beg the bees to come, it simply blooms, and in doing so, it naturally attracts what resonates with it. That's how love should feel, not like grasping or begging, but like blooming and allowing. Now, what does this mean for us in terms of our own relationships? If both Jung and Sadhguru are correct, then the key to attracting healthy, conscious relationships lies in doing our own inner work first. It's about building a beautiful garden within ourselves so that we can attract the right people, not by chasing them, but by becoming the best version of ourselves. Let's pause for a moment. I want you to ask yourself something, quietly, honestly. What kind of love am I truly prepared to receive? Am I still waiting for someone to bring me peace, or am I learning to create it within myself? These aren't easy questions, but they're powerful. They open the door to a different kind of relationship, one that begins inside. When you focus on your own growth and emotional maturity, the right connections will come naturally. It's like the saying goes, don't chase butterflies. Build a beautiful garden to attract them. Rather than running after external validation or searching endlessly for the one, we can create an inner world that is rich with peace, joy, and love. This inner garden attracts the right people, the ones who align with our energy and values. Jung also teaches us the importance of understanding our shadow, the parts of ourselves we suppress or refuse to acknowledge. He said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This means that in order to have conscious, fulfilling relationships, we must confront our hidden fears, wounds, and projections. If we bring unresolved issues into our relationships, we create unnecessary conflict and tension. When we do the work to understand our shadow and integrate it, we begin to show up more authentically in our relationships, allowing us to connect with others in a deeper, more meaningful way. Let's say someone fears abandonment because of childhood trauma. Without realizing it, they become overly controlling or clingy in relationships. Jung would say this fear is part of their shadow. Only when they acknowledge this wound can they stop projecting it onto their partner and finally experience love with trust and emotional freedom. Sadhguru adds another layer to this by explaining how expectation often leads to conflict. When we place expectations on others, we're projecting our own needs and desires instead of allowing the relationship to evolve naturally. When we begin to expect from our partner, we create a sense of dependency, which leads to frustration and resentment. True love, according to Sadhguru, is unconditional and free from expectations. It is a space where both people can grow individually and together without being bound by attachment or the need for constant validation. Sadhguru often tells the story of a man who says his wife no longer makes him happy. And Sadhguru replies, "Was that her job to begin with?" His point is clear. When you outsource your happiness to someone else, you create suffering. But when you generate joy from within, your relationships become spaces of sharing, not needing. Building healthy relationships, then, requires a shift in our mindset. It's not about finding someone to fill a void, but rather about finding someone who enhances our life and allows us to be our truest selves. It's about creating conscious connections, where both individuals are rooted in self-love and growth. The best relationships are built when both parties have worked on themselves, healed their wounds, and cultivated their own energy. When both partners are whole within themselves, they can come together and experience a love that is freeing, supportive, and transformative. When we approach relationships from a place of spiritual growth, we create space for true connection. Spiritual growth isn't about religion, it's about evolving into a higher state of consciousness. It's about understanding that love is not something external to us. It's a force that exists within us all. When we begin to cultivate this inner energy, we start to attract the right kind of love into our lives. So the Guru often says that if you are not aware of your own inner state, you will continuously attract relationships that mirror your unconscious patterns. This is why awareness and consciousness are essential when it comes to love. If we approach relationships with a clear understanding of ourselves, our desires, our fears, and our purpose, we can create relationships that support our growth rather than hinder it. Spiritual growth, then, is the foundation of all healthy relationships. Living in alignment with our true selves means that we no longer chase after love or approval. We simply become the person we are meant to be, and in doing so, we naturally attract the love and connections that are meant for us. Just as Jung and Sadhguru have taught us, the energy you radiate is what determines the relationships that come into your life. Picture two people walking parallel paths, both focused on becoming their best selves. They're not searching desperately, but living in alignment. One day their paths cross, not out of need, but resonance. That's what spiritual alignment looks like in love. Two whole people choosing each other, not completing each other. Think of yourself as a tuning fork. When you're vibrating at your natural frequency, grounded, clear, and in harmony, you resonate with other tuning forks vibrating at the same pitch. You don't have to search for them, you just have to stay in tune. The key here is freedom. When we stop trying to control or force relationships to fit our expectations, we allow the natural flow of love to take over. The energy of two souls can only truly align when both individuals are free from the need to possess, control, or change each other. Love becomes a space of mutual respect and growth, where both partners are free to be themselves and grow together. So when the energy of two souls truly aligns, no force can keep them apart. But this alignment doesn't happen by chance. It happens when both individuals have done the work to become their best selves, to understand their own energy, and to cultivate a life of authenticity and spiritual growth. It happens when both are free from expectations and open to experiencing love as an evolving, transformative journey. Let's grow together. Share your story and experiences with love, growth, and connections. Together, we'll uplift and learn from each other. If this resonated, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Join the conversation in the comments and subscribe to be part of this community focused on spiritual growth and self-improving. Love isn't something you chase, it's something you become. Align with your truth, and the right connections will follow. Thanks for watching. Take care and keep growing.